Hi everybody, welcome to beautiful Pico Rivera. I am Corey Bowman, also known as the C2U, and today I have the chance to cast a Go Cup. And this is one of the biggest cups we've had in quite a while here. Everybody is here celebrating the SoCal Swap Blues. We've got all the usual suspects, as well as some pretty unexpected players. Here we've got CaspianPike and XjeraldX in our first matchup of the day. And to me, this is going to be an interesting matchup because CaspianPike and Gerald actually faced off in the winner's bracket of the Seattle Regional earlier this season. And Gerald was able to come away with a 2-1 win en route to his first ever medal, or second ever medal, at 4th place. CaspianPike was able to fight his way through loser's bracket and make it to day 2, and took down some pretty big names in the process. Skeptile Ice, Will D. Not an easy road for him. Today, they are going to reunite on the field of battle, and their teams are kind of what you'd expect after the most recent regional, I would say. Metacham back in full force. The best buddy, Metacham, on the side of CaspianPike with the standard moveset. Gerald, meanwhile, is relying on his signature Altaria Corviknight core. Going to try Fraligator, and as well as the double Sire, and well, I guess it's no secret how big a fan I am of that. In this matchup in particular, I'm going to be interested to see if CaspianPike can ever find ways to get Wiggly onto the field. Because you've got that Clodsire, that Corviknight. Those things are very threatening. You also have the Mirror. It's hard to say, because even though Wiggly looks pretty good into a lot of Gerald's picks, the Corviknight and the Clodsire are going to scare it away. And knowing Gerald, he's going to bring Corviknight all the time here. We have Fortress to maybe deal with that on the side of CaspianPike with Volt Switch, the non-Shadow Fortress. We have one lock-in, it sounds like, and we're still waiting on the other side. What could be pretty important here is how the Quag matchup is going to play out. Quag is just such an important part of this meta. It's so safe to swap in if they don't have a specific hard counter for it. In this case, it's going to be a little tough for CaspianPike to switch in his Quagsire freely because there is Fraligator waiting in the back. And if you're quick enough on the swap with Fraligator, you are not afraid of Quag at all. But if you let the Quag get up a little too much energy and maybe land that big Stone Edge, then there is potential to shield and farm down. Still waiting on our second lock-in here. I'll say Metacham Quag core would be very good into most things. That was pretty much the defining core of the Houston Regional, I would say, was Metacham and Quag together. But Gerald has Ralligator, which I think is a good response to that. It is going to be able to pretty safely handle one of those threats. And that's going to free up the Altaria or the Corviknight to deal with the other, I would say. As long as Altaria doesn't have to take a Stone Edge. Empoleon we're seeing from CaspianPike, which is still a good pick, even though it's going down in usage so much, I would say. As for this battle in particular, it's going to have a lot of defensive utility. There's nothing on Gerald's side that really hard deals with Empoleon, and we're going to see how that plays out. No shields being exchanged yet. I don't think either player is going to shield anything in this lead matchup. Let's see if we get a second, or get an initial boost from Gerald. And there is the boost. And that's going to make things a little awkward. He does have 2 Brutal Swings to throw back to back. And I don't think Gerald is really incentivized to make a catch here. Caspian looks like he's in a pretty good position. because now you have a chance to get that Empoleon exactly where you want it on the Wigglytuff, as long as you can maintain switch. And as long as there's no Quagsire hanging out in the back, your Wigglytuff is going to be pretty safe if you're CaspianPike. He is going to give up switch, it looks like. Keep the shield advantage and bring in the Wigglytuff to go for a farm down. Pretty counterintuitive, but Gerald shaking his head knows that this is not a good position to be in. How is he going to ever deal with this Wigglytuff? I think he probably does not get the air cutter. He's probably going to make the read that it is Empoleon on the back and he's going to save it. He gets the alignment that he wants, but the problem is, in this matchup, Quag wins it by a hair because the charge moves just do not add up at all. You really have to grind this matchup out if you're Quagsire, and the shield advantage is going to make that pretty much impossible. So things are looking pretty safe for CaspianPike in Game 1, and how is Gerald going to deal with Empoleon in Game number 2? Second Hydro Cannon comes in. There's not really potential to make a catch here if you're Gerald, fortunately. You just kind of have to throw both these Aqua Tails and just hope that you can get it low enough that Wigglytuff can sort of charm it down and maybe get an Icy Wind first, get an advantage. And a catch comes through. Not even a catch, a CMP catch for CaspianPike. Or maybe it was a late tap from Gerald. In any case, that is definitely going to wrap it up, because there is no charge move from Wigglytuff that can deal with Empoleon at this point, so Gerald's going to have to take a second look at how he's going to deal with Empoleon. I guess I didn't realize at first just how safe Empoleon is to this team. Really the best answer Gerald has against it is Feraligatr or Corviknight. He brought the Corviknight, no Feraligatr in Game 1, correctly calling there would be a Wigglytuff in the back, and there was even a Dark type in the lead, making it pretty much impossible for Feraligatr to get any room. And then even when you bring the Feraligatr out, even though you're pretty decent defensively into the Empoleon, you still, all of your charge moves are resisted back. Gerald's going to have to figure out something in Game 2. Is he going to make a big call and lead the Feraligatr? I would think not. It's just so hard to lead that when you see a Dark type in the lead and a normal type on the swap. But at the same time, I feel like Feraligatr is maybe going to be the play. You have to leverage it somehow. If you can safely catch a Hydro onto it, maybe if you can get some energy up, you can throw an Ice Beam later into a Guzzlord. But then again, there's still the Wiggly. The comp in Game 1 probably forces Altaria to stay far away. We're definitely going to see Quag from both these trainers again, I would say. Or at least Quag on the side of Gerald. Empoleon did the job perfectly well, and I think CaspianPike realizes there's no reason to take a chance on being weak to Feraligatr. You can try to counter it in all 3 games here, probably, if we see a Game 3. Got one lock-in on one side, another trainer still choosing. What is the adjustment from Gerald? Here we go, we've got our lock-in. Corviknight lead coming up again. This time, Gerald gets a good lead. He catches the Wiggly cold. Empoleon swap comes in. This is one of the better matchups he had, and this kind of plays into Gerald's hands a little bit. He's got that perfect hard counter to Wigglytuff in the back in the Clodsire. It is running Poison Sting, no Sludge Bomb, but it's still going to do more than enough, and Gerald has to be absolutely thrilled to get this out now. Because the Volt Switch Fortress is not interested in dealing with that Clodsire at all. Does not get the payback through. He is going to have to shield. He is going to make a catch, actually. Going to preserve this. Switch timers are desynced, but it's not very fun for Wigglytuff to come into a loaded Feraligatr. Going to make a move into the Fortress. Don't know if that was the timing Gerald wanted, but he is going to be able to throw 2 Hydro Cannons pretty easily. Fortress is just going to be able to soak them up. Is he going to let the Fortress go? No. Wants to save some of the energy, get a debuff off, makes a lot of sense. Gerald, for his part, has to be pretty thrilled with how this is going now. He's got a 2-shield advantage and a Clodsire to wall all of this energy off. Even if the Empoleon comes back in, you can just safely shave Protect Shield for it if you're Gerald, and Earthquake it to death, so... It's going to be pretty hard for CaspianPike to find his way back into this. Second Sand Tomb comes through. They will add up. I mean, straight away with the Empoleon, doesn't throw. Gerald's going to get out and save... Try to save one of those shields, but has to spend it here, because... It's going to be more productive to get a payback off. Miscount, maybe. Could have just taken out the Empoleon straight away with the payback, but he's actually going to try and get a little more energy. How does this play out for Gerald? Gonna throw the payback. Maybe it wasn't required if you got an Air Cutter boost a little earlier. Maybe you could have thrown an Air Cutter boost and Sand Attack down, but it would have been pretty close, so... Just gonna guarantee the knockout. Here comes Fortress. Gonna land the Air Cutter. This is gonna put it just a little too low to do anything, and I'd say Gerald has this pretty safely in the bag. There's no Protect Shields remaining, so there is gonna be a Sand Tomb coming through. This is actually interesting. If the Wigglytuff can get to a move, that will secure the knockout, and it's gonna take 2 moves from this Clodsire to deal with the Wigglytuff. And one of them has to be an Earthquake. 2 Stone Edges is not enough to do it. We are 4 away. Can we outpace the Earthquake and get the move off? We can! And as long as this knocks out the Wigglytuff, Gerald is back in this match. It is just enough to knock out. Can we Poison Sting down before a Sand Tomb is reached? He gets to the Sand Tomb! Oh man, the Poison Sting double resisted from Fortress. Just not enough. I was pretty convinced. Fortunately, there is still the Corviknight waiting in the back to glitch that out, so... Gerald's back in the match. Finding the adjustment, the Feraligatr Clodsire core didn't help that he... or didn't hurt that he let a Steel type into his Wigglytuff. So the question now, what's the counter adjustment? CaspianPike totally read Gerald's line in Game 1. Gerald had the adjustment in Game 2. Sticking with the Corviknight lead, but bringing a second answer to Wigglytuff. How does Wigglytuff play in game number 3? I don't think CaspianPike is likely to drop the Wigglytuff. It's still pretty decent. You'd still really like to nail the Altaria with it, but it's clear that Gerald's not going to bring that at this point. Maybe dropping Wigglytuff is the play for CaspianPike. In case one trainer is locked in, the other still making up his mind. So how will CaspianPike choose to leverage his Empoleon in Game 3? Do we maybe see an Empoleon lead? Because if you lead Empoleon, you have... As long as Gerald doesn't go for the triple dip and leads... Well, let's see. We got a Corviknight lead for a 3rd time from Gerald back into the Guzzlord. And this time the adjustment from CaspianPike is to bring the double Steel in the back. No Wigglytuff at all, which is good news. The tricky part is where exactly... excuse me, we've got... So we've got double quags in the back from both trainers. We've got an Empoleon. If we can just save the shields from the... If CaspianPike saves shields for Empoleon, this is going to be a pretty great place for him, I would say. Clodsire can technically beat Empoleon. It's just barely able to outbulk, but it's not a very friendly matchup. And the problem for Gerald is that's clearly the best matchup he has available now. He has... The other problem is, now that you have one switch as CaspianPike, you're going to make a move straight into the Quagsire, forcing out the other Quag, which is a great play from CaspianPike. Now your Empoleon... Now your Empoleon is safe from the Quag, even though maybe you didn't want to take a lot of the charge attack pressure that Clodsire is going to have in the back. And this still makes sense for CaspianPike if he's maybe reading a Wigglytuff adjustment or a Feraligatr. Shield comes up from Gerald. Gerald going to choose to tap tie. Really confident in his IVs, gets the tie, and that's going to be pretty impactful here. Here comes the second. Going to double invest. Going to keep some energy. Now, not going to go for the tie, not going to risk a catch, just going to throw immediately after building up a little bit of energy. But now we have, but now we're faced with a bit of a problem. All the shields are down on Gerald's side. He's going to have to take an Aqua Tail. Unless he throws the Stone Edge immediately. He does. Okay, Gerald able to escape from an Aqua Tail. The problem is, Empoleon's waiting in the back. I don't think one Earthquake is quite enough to knock out. It's pretty close. But there's still a lot of capacity for a catch on CaspianPike's side. You still have to throw a move into that Guzzlord, because you cannot Poison Sting it down. This Hydro Cannon is going to put it well within Brutal Swing range. So, just going to immediately come in. Gerald counting very well, able to get the Stone Edge off. So now is he going to be able to outpace the Empoleon to the Hydro Cannon? It looks like Gerald is just going to be able to get there. On the cap tie, and it's just not going to be enough. An incredibly close game there. I don't know if Earthquake would have knocked out there. But CaspianPike able to remove all doubt, wins the cap tie, and I don't know, I think that was a great first match. Great stuff. Congrats to CaspianPike, beating one of our local favorites here, who's no stranger to winning our local cups. Very close. So we'll have to see how things adjust in our future rounds. We are going to take a short break before we move on to our next round to allow our competitors to get ready on the stream. So, until then, don't go anywhere.